So how you been doing? I know we're like live on the radio, but you know, whatever.
Right.
We don't have to get too personal, but you know, I'm glad that you called in. How you been doing?
Yeah. So you know, I did feel like I had a breakthrough. It was almost like the information that you gave me was so it so helped me. You know, it was like that feeling of clarity. You know, and almost like it's almost like I want to say it cleared any guilt for me about what I was dealing with, picking up. And so lately, I felt better as far as knowing that, and I feel like the tension I was feeling and the stuff has been more alleviated because of that. And now it's like, and now it's like, sort of seeing that manifest, right, is now what the next thing is seeing that actually play itself out. Yeah, that ending and that resolving and transition of that connection. So it's
wait, say that last part again. You said transition something.
Yeah, sort of like a shifting of sort of like a moving on. If you remember what we had talked about, so
yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I had felt before our conversation, like, you know, oh my God, like I'm going through all this stuff, and it's like it's too much, but I didn't even realize it until I opened my mouth that you know that this is really happening. Like it's not me exaggerating anything or making too much out of something. Like, you know, they talk about making mountains out of molehills. It was actually, you know, the situation I'm in is very, very challenging. It needs to it needs to be something's got to give. I think you had even said that in the conversation.
Oh yeah. Something definitely has to give. Yeah. And we don't want it to be you.
Exactly. And how many people, like you said, do that to themselves, like, you know, and you see this over and over repeat itself, right? So it was crazy realizing that, you know, part of my energy with that projector energy is that sort of, you know, wanting to help out and be a guide and assist in the situation. And then the other part is realizing and make sure to take care of yourself in that process, like you said, so you don't undo yourself. So it's a real peace I'm feeling a little more every day about that as I, you know, accept myself as I am, you know, this unique energy and being, and also give myself this sort of permission to keep giving myself all these unique, you know, needs, you know, not feeling a little less bad about it every day. Yeah. And I don't know if you've run into this, sis, but like, so sometimes certain projectors, we'll have this moment-to-moment thing where, because I found myself almost wanting to be a generator of sorts.
You said you found yourself wanting to be a generator? Is that what you said?
Yeah, like in a moment, like it'll come sometimes, like a moment where I feel like, wow, if I was a generator, it'd be a different situation, because it almost feels like there's so many things that I have to do and not do as a projector that sometimes it feels like a lot in moments, you know. But I think it mostly feels like a lot being in a situation where I have, you know, 1 to 2 generators alongside me, you know. Like, it's almost like I feel like I have this switch. Sometimes I'm like, maybe if I was a generator, and sometimes I'm like, it'd be a different situation if I was dealing with projectors, but now I'm a projector dealing with generators in this close-knit family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's just a moment, not to say I actually have this thing like, sit up, Bob. Where I have this thing where I'm, I want to be, a generator, like, if only. It'll just be in a moment where I'm dealing with the projector needs or the projector sensitivities, and I'm like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, lately I've been communicating with several projectors who are definitely feeling the stress of being in a generator dominated world, and there's this. It's almost like, all of the conversations give me this helplessness, frequency, to where you all just feel, like out of place. The bitterness aspect is like running really high, and
yes.
I actually had to tell a projector friend of mine just a few hours ago, because she kind of said the same thing. She said that, she basically feels like, she's worse off being a projector, and I had to kind of cut in and say, no, like every design, every type, every person has their own uniqueness, and there's a power behind each person's blueprint. And if you spend all of your time focusing on wanting to be the other, because, yes, I do understand generators make up 70% of the planet and all of that, but when you put all of that focus on trying to be the other type, then you never get to tap into all of the gifts that are within your design as a projector. And projectors are very powerful. It's just we don't get to see that a whole lot because of the levels of exhaustion that you all have to deal with. It's and just always being overtaken by the generator energy. The truth of how you all are designed to operate doesn't get to shine as much. So it's a matter of, I don't know what it's like to be a projector, so it's like I can only say so much, but, the way that I see things, it starts with you. And another thing, before I get into what I was about to say, is because your auras are always focused outwardly towards somebody else, that also makes it very difficult for you all to go inward and see that, and see, the special aspects that you all have. But for me, it's like, I guess it's easier for me to say to go inward because my aura moves towards me, whereas your aura moves out towards somebody else. But I feel like the first step, for projectors who are feeling that helplessness, is to first of all, like, turn the attention, or at least the awareness, because the energy field is still going to go outward, but at least turn your awareness towards yourself and see that, okay, projectors have this power. The fact that you all are here to be pretty much like the ones that can grab the reins of the generators and manifesting generators, you all definitely have some type of power. If you all are here to take all of this generator energy and then manage it and guide it and lead it. So if that's what you all's gift is, then you gotta somehow find a way. I don't really know what that way is, but you have to find a way to say there is something that is great about who I am. If I'm designed to be able to take all of this power and direct it and get all of this, because generators, we blow our energy in all types of directions because we don't wait to respond like we should. We're frustrated. We're, the manifesting generators, we're angry and frustrated. Our energy is not contained properly. So the fact that you have the ability as a projector to take all of this energy that we have and then like gather it and then say, okay, generators, go this way, do this, do that. I mean, there's something powerful about that, but it, you know, it just takes time to get there and to see that within yourself.
Yes, yes. Wow, I totally feel that. Yeah, and it's interesting because no coincidence, I was told that. You know, my partner was saying, she said, you know, how did she put it? I think she actually put it even as, she was probably trying to, you know, use terms that I understood, and she was saying, you know, as far as, she said, I know you look at me as a manifesting generator and you say to yourself, you know, wow, you have a lot of power. And she even has the channel power.
Okay.
On top of that. And then she said, but you know, to me, she said, I feel like you even have more power than me. And I was just like, okay, you know, that's how I took it. I was just like, all right, you know, because I'm like, girl, you talking, you gotta, you know, you have all this power, but you're telling me that. I don't, you know, I was like, maybe that's a projection, you know what I'm saying, of that I'm being a mere reflection of that energy for her, you know, because like, you know, how we do the whole amplification, you know, when we're with others. So I said, you know, it must be that she's getting a glimpse of her energy by way of me amplifying her energy. But I wouldn't, you know, it's just for me, I wouldn't have looked at it in that way, in the terms that she was using. What I understood from it, I was like, I don't think so. You know, I didn't say that to her, but I just like, yep, yes, sir. I'm sorry, I got on a spontaneous call. It was a random. It started.
You're fading out. Can you repeat that?
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Okay. No, that was basically it. That was my feeling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and unmute Sominique.
Very good. Thank you, sis.
Oh, no problem. You can stay on.
Okay.
Yeah, Sominique, are you there?
Hey guys, good afternoon.
Hey.
What's up, Houdini?
How you doing, sis?
I'm good.
All right. Loving the energy.
So, just so Sominique and Houdini, since you all are on, all right. So Houdini on the promo video that you were on, Sominique was on that video as well. She was the one that was sitting with me in the other scenes in that video.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. And Sominique is a 3/5 splenic generator.
Had to throw that spleen in there, didn't you?
Yes.
You just had to throw the spleen in there.
She's loud and proud, and thank God.
Hey.
The spleen is a beautiful thing.
Yes, it is, my sister.
Moment to moment. Yes.
God bless the spleen. Oh, man. Oh my gosh, sis, check this out. I discovered that every person in the house, save myself, and there's 7 of us in the house, is emotional.
Oh
man. Everybody's emotional?
So you're the only splenic person in... Oh.
So when you said that you were feeling this, that, and the third, look. On top of that, all that emotional energy.
So Houdini, you're in Arizona right now?
Yes, correct.
Okay, how's the weather there?
So I prefer the weather here 100 times over the weather in New York City, where I, was until like 6 months ago.
Okay.
However, the one challenge that I'm having here is we just got out of monsoon season.
Mm-hmm.
and that kicks up a lot of like allergies and respiratory challenges. And so I used to deal with asthma, so I'm noticing that, you know, I've had issues with that. And it's interesting because today was the first day I said, wow, today's the first day in like a week that I feel like I woke up and I'm breathing well and I'm feeling good. Like, you know, the weather's great. And then I was told that you know, we're more into that autumn season here in Arizona now. So, but aside from that, you know, it's mostly hot all year round. I'm new to Arizona, but what I've been told is it's hot, you know, most of the time, which I'm loving. And, you know, the mountains are amazing. You know, there's a lot of nature, grass, trees, and stuff that, you know, I couldn't get in New York City. So
Right.
Yeah, so it's dope. It's amazing. It's gorgeous over here. Like, it's real. And
Yeah, I haven't been there, but I know this New York. I really like New York, but yeah, it's not really scenic as far as nature. You got to go far out for that.
It's not scenic as far as what?
Oh, I said New York. I like New York, but it's not really scenic as far as nature. You gotta kind of drive out of your way to get to nature.
And
Houdini, we can't really hear you too well. You sound far away.
Okay, let me.
Sominique, you outside?
Yeah, I can you hear me? You hear all my house happening?
Yeah, I hear the air and stuff, but you know, I just want to make sure everybody can hear each other. That's all.
Yeah, let me.
Yeah, you sound better now, Houdini.
Is that any better, y'all?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. I'm using the iPhone headset now. I was using this new, different headset. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, so exactly. So the health ramifications of that, of, you know, living in the concrete jungle all those years, you know, it was really wearing down on my energy, not having nature at my disposal, you know. Yeah, because I was lucky that there was a park across the street, but, you know, it's not like, you know, it's very limited in what it offered as far as access to nature. And the closest one was like half an hour away. There's this huge park, Prospect Park, and I would go there, and but it wasn't too often because I also have this nocturnal energy, and so it's like, you know, that brings its own challenges with going outside. And so being here feels like a lot better for me because I'm literally living within nature. So I'm getting it whether I am able to spend a lot of time outside or not. You know, I could just go outside for a second and, you know, I'm in the dirt, I'm looking at mountains, I'm breathing in this natural air. And it's so much healthier, the air here, than in New York City too, you know. So it's like amazing. Yeah. So I'm definitely enjoying that aspect of Arizona.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, so do you work like a night job then, you know, because you're nocturnal? Are you a night job worker, like overnight shift?
So basically, yeah, I do stuff from home via the computer, you know, like related to astrology and guitar music.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So, you know, like numerology, astrology readings. It's specifically based to couples, like more like matchmaking or people who are already in a couple wanting information about, you know, their connection. And then I teach guitar, and I also teach conversational Spanish. So, you know, and it's interesting because, like, I'm seeing how being here is also allowing me time to really organize myself in a way where I could see myself being able to offer more, put more time into those things, because I'm very limited in how much I've been able to offer thus far the last few years. but it looks like it's almost like a revamping of my home-based services now that I'm working to do, so I could be more available to do that time-wise. Because I was, for the last year, I've just been getting a handle on my time management now that I'm flowing with this new shift, with this night shift now. So, yeah, and I'm so much healthier physically, because I was having like back issues, and I was having an issue with my right leg where I was very immobile a year ago, and now I'm able to actually work out lightly, do light workouts, and move around as I please and stuff. So, yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
So you specialize in couples astrology, but
yes.
I want to know more about Scorpio.
Well, okay. So, Sister Asiya, do you have any knowledge of the Scorpio energy?
Very little.
Houdini. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Can you hear her, sis? I can't hear you, Asiya.
Right, you had went out too, Asiya, but no, I said very little.
I lost you for a second there.
Yeah, I was on mute letting you all talk. Houdini, were you asking me or Sominique about Scorpio?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Sominique, and I can hear you, Houdini.
Okay.
I hear like a faint. It's like I hardly, I don't know. It's like lower than a whisper.
Can you hear me? Can you testing? Can you hear me?
Nah, I still can't. Let me see if it's me. Here we go. It was.
You're clear.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So what did you say, Sister Asiya?
About Scorpio?
Yeah. Do you know anything about that energy?
I literally just learned like a ton about Scorpio in like the last 4 days. Like I'm talking about
that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And it's a lot of things I gotta share with you in regards to astrology, because I've been like learning backwards. But
interesting.
Yeah, but I gotta catch you up on like all of the things that I learned recently.
Yes. I love that. That's where that splenic works, because I was like literally seeing that. I was seeing you learning a little bit of that astrology. I was like, oh, right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yes. So there's so much to be said. Do you happen to be a Scorpio yourself? Is that why you're asking, sis, about the Scorpio, wanting to know about it, or is it because it's someone else you know with that energy?
You're talking to me?
Yeah, you, Sominique.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm actually a Scorpio.
Yeah,
I
had a feeling. Okay, so oh, Scorpio, dear Scorpio.
Yep.
Scorpio is okay. This is what I'll say about Scorpio. Scorpio is a Mars-ruled sign. And if you know anything about Mars, Mars is a red-hot planet. And it's the planet that represents masculinity. It's the planet that the symbol that is used for men. Okay? And then so women is Venus, the planetary or astrological sign for Venus, and then the astrological sign for Mars, the ruler of Scorpio, it represents men. So it's a very strong energy. But the cool thing about Scorpio is there's 2 signs that are ruled by Mars. It's Scorpio and it's Aries. So it's really unique because it's the feminine property of this very masculine planet-ruled sign. So it's like a combination of feminine and masculine in a very unique way. And Scorpio, there's so much that could be said about Scorpio. One thing that I'll say that sticks out to me about Scorpio is Scorpio has this theme about living life as a healer or someone who does harm. So if you look at the Scorpion, right, it's this powerful imagery that comes up, right, with a stinger and these claws, and that same venom that is inside that stinger of a scorpion can be used to make an antidote, or it could be used to literally poison someone and harm somebody, right? Mm-hmm. So Scorpion, a lot of Scorpios don't kind of evolve spiritually. They don't evolve because they kind of stay on this, oh, I have this ability to do harm, and when I get emotionally triggered, I'm going to react and I'm going to, sting, right? But the ones that do evolve become very beautiful healers for the world, like this lady, Amma, the hugging saint. Y'all know about her?
No, what's the name?
Amma, A-M-M-A.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, you heard of her, sis? See?
No, I'm not familiar.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she's if y'all look her up, Google her. It's Amaji, and she has this very long, because she's from India. It's a very long name. I cannot pronounce it, but her nickname is Amma, the hugging saint. And I went to see her when I was still living in Brooklyn, and she's a beautiful. Oh, by the way, Asiya, she's a reflector.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I just found that out yesterday, so it's crazy that we're having this conversation. I just found out yesterday that she was a reflector, but I had known for at least 6 months that she's a Scorpio. So she basically, her work involves hugging people. It's almost like a free hugging service. There's people offer cuddling services where they'll hug you for hours to 2 hours or whatever.
Yes.
She does, but of course she don't hug you for an hour.
Cuddling services.
That's something you do, you said?
No, I say, how come I don't know about this? I never heard about hugging or cuddling services.
Oh, because you needed to connect with us, sis, so you can learn. So the cuddling, hugging, that's actually something that I, was considering doing as one of the services to offer, because it's a very beautiful service, and I'm very much, this affectionate, healing energy. Yeah, it's like you just hug people, and, it's just this, everybody needs love, and many people, especially in the metropolitan cities in the United States, are very kind of isolated. I mean, I lived in New York for like 10 plus years, and I experienced that. That it's like you could feel alone in a sea of people, as the saying goes. So, and you could be so deprived of human connection, even though you're surrounded by many people. And so that's one of the reasons that this cuddling service came out, that people started offering that, because it's a way to actually keep yourself sane. Because, when you don't get physical affection, studies have been done to prove that from babies, it's very apparent what happens when you don't get cuddled, when you don't get held. And it doesn't stop at that baby age, right? Yeah, you're supposed to continue to get hugs. I think they were saying that you're supposed to get like 10 or 12 hugs a day to actually be just healthy, like average, like survive. And so imagine how many of us are in a deficit that don't get that,
Yeah.
And so, that's why you haven't heard of it too, sis, because it's really like, it's this rare, it's not something that a lot of people tap into. It's like there's these little communities, like, of these healing services, even, like if you look at human design, it's not this, although there's more and more thousands of people that are getting involved in it, if you look in comparison to the whole world at large, maybe it looks small, like, oh, this is a small community of people, same with all kinds of healing services, including cuddling. So yeah, but she offers this hugging where you go, and it's like she might go to a center or a temple, and hundreds of people line up to see her, y'all, hundreds of people, and she takes the whole day to hug people. She will hug you from anywhere from a few seconds to a few minutes, depending on whatever she feels. And doesn't it make sense that she's a reflector doing that work? It's crazy because, you know, I said to myself, how you going to take all that energy? But when I read up about how reflectors work, you know, they dissipate that energy, right? They release it by giving it back to us. And it's like, okay, so, you know, so she'll, you know, and all kind of people that are going through all kind of different, you know, ailments, illnesses, diseases will come, and she will hug them, and they will feel this healing, you know. And they call her the hugging saint for that reason, actually. So yeah, it's a powerful thing. So yeah, it's I don't even know why we got into that, but oh, she's a Scorpio, I was saying, yeah. So see, that's her using that. And you know who else was a Scorpio? The Buddha.
Okay.
The Buddha was a Scorpio, yes. So when you talk about,
we're awesome.
You are
right. Here we go.
You know what? Most of y'all don't know that.
Yeah.
Most of y'all really have, right? It's like this inner resentment. You know how you were saying that a lot of projectors, you notice they have that thing with the resentment and bitterness? Mm-hmm. There's also something like that with that Scorpio energy. And you know what's crazy? I just remembered that in my design, so my design date is a Scorpio date.
I was just gonna bring that up when you finish talking, because your body's birthday is a day before Sominique's birthday. So y'all are like very much connected right now. Yeah.
No wonder, because I was like, what is it? I just felt like this likeness, like I already like you energy as soon as you started talking, sis. Yes.
Y'all have harmony profiles. Y'all have harmony profiles as well. So,
all right, because I'm a 6'2" and she's a 3'5".
Exactly.
And it's generator and projector. Come in.
All right, Houdini.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's right, sis. Yeah, you.
And you know, another thing that's amazing is I was looking at these emails I got from an analyst years ago, right? When I first got connected with Human Design. And he was telling me in one of the emails how, can y'all still hear me? I want to make sure y'all hear me.
I can hear you.
It's going in and out. Okay, great.
I'm gonna go on mute for a minute though, so I want to hear interference in my background.
No doubt. Yes, thank you. He was saying how. So in one email, he was actually a few. He was saying how the manifesting generator to projector energy in close proximity can be overwhelming and harmful. Wow, that was a fruit burp. And then I've been eating a lot more fruit lately and no meat. It's pretty awesome. Anyway, and then in another email that he sent me, he was saying how a generator is a less, you know, like it can be potentially overwhelming, but it will be like, it's like if you don't handle the energy right between a projector and a generator. So he was saying like, you know, and I was like, wow, because he said even, which is something that I had heard from another analyst years later, that there's a sort of positive flow with the projector generator connections, but he was saying that that's unique to the manifesting generator to projector connection. So, and when I looked at my friendships and past partners, I was noticing that. There was a few projectors, but then there was plenty of generators, and then there was a few manifesting generators that it was kind of like touch and go. Like it would be like we would either be in a friendship or a potential love connection, and then it would dissolve.
Yes.
For whatever this was before I knew about Human Design. So when I look back, but thank goddess that I was, as an astrologer, I was always getting people's birth information. So then when I plugged it into the Human Design, I was seeing the Human Design and going, oh my gosh, whoa, look. And so it's deep. It's interesting to see that that play out and see that how that works, that flow. Yeah.
Wow. So
go ahead.
Sominique, you on your way to get the children?
I'm in the store right now. That's why I put you guys on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was going to ask you. Did you?
I'm in the vitamin shop.
Oh, dope. Yeah.
I was going to ask you. Sominique, I was going to ask you. Did you want to take this opportunity to use Houdini's masculine energy to kind of ask some questions about the rift between men and women right now, and the issues that a lot of women are having in regards to men who don't really they they're more resistant to integrating with women who have more of an independent nature and have more of a less submissive, type energy. The things that we've been talking about lately. Did you want to kind of get his perspective? Because Houdini is like, I love his energy. Like, I love his masculine energy, and he's very, he just really meshes well with the feminine, and he's very supportive. He's a cuddler, obviously. He's a great, like balance to feminine energy. So, I kind of wanted to get his take on, what he feels, might be going on from that masculine perspective. You want to ask him some questions?
Well, yeah, I guess we could. First, I want to say that I think I'm more of a hugger, but I don't know. I haven't tried cuddling a bunch of people in the past.
Oh, you've never done the cuddling, like a long hug?
Yeah, I definitely. I love hugs. I do love hugs. I have to say that. And especially like bear hugs, I love somebody that's like big and burly. Oh man, those are the best. Cuddling though, I kind of need my own space when I think about cuddling in the bed. But anyway, that's a whole nother story.
It's cool. Like you said.
So, we were talking about how just in society in general, how I guess the media, everything is against men and women being in harmony. Like it's,
I'm glad y'all see that.
Yeah, it's like if you show any affection, the man is looked at as being, soft or a punk, or he almost selling out for having love for his family, or doing the right things. It's like so frowned upon, and all of the energy that's surrounding, like, just fused between man and woman. It's like no harmony was being advertised as all the hate and all the negative energy.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I agree. And I love that y'all have talked about that, because doesn't it feel like a, what is that called? It feels like it's intentional, like it's like it's planned. It's like they
like
causing
plot,
this
like
rift.
Plotted, huh?
Thank you. That's it. Yeah, it's like they plotted. Like
I got you, Houdini.
Yeah, like look at shows like when I started to watch this show Insecure. Have y'all heard about that show?
Yeah, with Issa Rae.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah. No, not Lisa Ray. I'm sorry, not Lisa Ray.
Not Lisa. Not Lisa Ray. Issa Rae. That's not an Insecure show you're talking about?
Does she rap? Does she rap on the show a little bit?
Yeah. Broken.
Like a real cute, pretty chocolate sister.
Yeah, Issa Rae. Yeah, that's her.
Yes. Okay, Issa Rae. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. And what I noticed is that it felt like that theme was coming up in the show, and part of like almost like part of her character personality was portrayed like this sister who is independent in a way that is counter her being able to have a successful relationship. So you know, it took me a while, by the way, to stop blushing after Asiya said everything she said. So, you know, that was why I was quiet, because I was like, wow, you know, I was really flattered by everything you said, sis, as far as, you know, my energy and everything. So thank you for that. And I'm glad that I could, and I'm glad that I could be that, you know, because I have to be reminded by sisters like you that, you know, this is the world we live in, where, you know, y'all as women have this experience that is rare to connect with a man like that. And so it's like, wow, you know, it's very eye-opening and it's very shocking and surprising. But then when we look at like what y'all were saying, in a world where that is what's pushed, like that agenda, that's it. That agenda, you know, which is synonymous to plot, you know, that agenda to really, you know, create a rift between man and woman, really has created a scenario where men do not feel free to express themselves and women do not feel free to express any form of masculine energy. And when I look at what I've learned as an astrologer, as someone who actually studies a bit of Taoism and energy, right, healing, you learn that every being, whether male-born or female-born, has a combination of masculine and feminine energy.
Yes.
Like you were saying, you know, you're saying, like you were saying something that actually you hardly hear, if ever. You know, you're saying that you see me as a man who you feel my masculine energy very much, and then you also, it's easy for you to connect with me because I also am in touch with my feminine energy.
Yes.
So, you know, we could probably count on one hand how many times we've heard that as a description of a male. So, you know, it's a rare thing, and like y'all are saying, it's the opposite is put out there in the media and in the world. There's this talk about men are masculine, women are feminine, and anything against that. And it's ironic that they'll say that, and in the same breath, they're causing this rift between us, right? So it's like it doesn't make any sense. But what I'll say is that, you know, in my experience, you know, in relating and using these tools, astrological and human design, to see the truth of you know, male and female connections, what I've discovered is like, so for example, one thing that came up is, are you a single definition, Sominique?
Yeah, she is. She is.
Okay, yeah. Exactly.
She has one channel. She has the channel of preservation, the 2750.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So, and you know, I was thinking about that channel just yesterday because I feel like that keeps coming up in people that I connect with. So I feel like I need to learn more about that channel. But what I'll say about the single definition in my experience of relating with women is that, you know, part of that energy, as a man connecting with or attempting to connect with, you know, women with that energy, it's an interesting one, like, you know, because the beautiful part is understanding that you're dealing with a being that, you know, almost has their own inner solidity, like they have their own inner completeness. Right?
Yes.
And seeing that when they are in a relationship, because of that, it takes a different form. It looks different from other relationships.
Yes.
Because you're not dealing with someone like me. Like, I'm split, so I you know, I see how I roll as far as, you know, when I connect with someone, because I'm having this experience where this person is sort of completing me, it feels like, even though, the deeper truth is, I am complete within myself, but a lot of times I don't feel that because of that split energy. But with the single, it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful when I see a single definition person in a relationship, because it's almost like without them saying it, they're saying, though I may not feel like what other people mean by I need you because I desire partnership. Right? So even if it doesn't look the same as those people who are split and will deal with you in their way because they're split, I'm single, but I'm interested in coupling. And and then the other part I'll say is that because of what y'all are actually have said put so well verbally, expressed so well as far as the type of society we live in, because we live in a society that promotes these lies about men and women and relationships, it affects us in different degrees. And sometimes we see the degree in which it affects us, and sometimes we don't, because it's almost like a blind spot. So what it teaches us is, it teaches us not to actually see that we need each other in different ways, and how need doesn't mean, need doesn't have to be this sort of like weak position. It's actually a position of power. For me to need you is actually a humility, and humility is power. Arrogance is actually weakness because it's based in fear. Right? It's based in that if you don't look terrible, I can't look good. If I don't look stronger than you, if you don't look weaker than me, then I'm gonna end up not looking like this amazing person. Like, I need you to be messed up in a way for me to look amazing. That's the type of society that we live in, that what they're promoting without saying it, right? Yeah. So for me to say, I need my sister Asiya, I need my sister Sominique, I need my partner Stephanie, I need whatever. If I say, whatever it is, or I need my friends, whatever it is, I need love in my life, or for me to say that, is something that we don't hear, but it's actually the deepest truth ever, because we were born into a community, into a world of people. So even as we need space and we need, all the needs that we need as far as going within and having our personal time, we also need each other. So whatever little to some to a lot of time that we need with people, at the end of the day, we need people in different ways. And that is something that has been taken out of relating. It's almost like that phrase, I don't need you, I could do bad all by myself type of thing. And I feel like even no matter what, like the beauty also I find in a single definition is y'all tend to be like self-sufficient. So financially you'll see y'all are together, maybe, house, whatever it is, you'll have things materially, you tend to know how to deal with the material plane. And you live in a society that is actually telling you how to be dysfunctional in relationships, though, because it's like telling you that, okay, you gotta have somebody that has all that, but that actually gets in the way of you connecting with people that would enrich your lives in other ways that actually matter, like love. Like a lot of people that have a lot of money, not all people, but a lot of people, for example, that have a lot of money tend to not have a lot of love. There are people who have a lot of money and have a lot of love, but that's rare. So it's like knowing these things, knowing the tricks that society plays with us, but understanding the truth of it. So it's the reason that I feel like y'all have had these discussions is because it is a very challenging thing in 2017 to have a thriving, like it's challenging just to have a functional relationship, let alone a thriving, successful, prosperous relationship. So, and the reason is because it's you have to seek out people who would actually help us to have thriving relationships, because what we've been taught in society has actually taught us to have dysfunctional relationships. Communication is terrible. Knowing who you really are as a being Most people don't even know that. So how they gonna deal with someone else, right? And especially what y'all were saying, like, you know, like there's women who would actually, not just like you said, you know, not only do men feel like, you know, we can't cry and we can't express any kind of feminine energy, but, you know, there's women who would actually, what's the term, have co-signed to that mentality. And when you're in a relationship with them and you're a man and you have your moment where you're connecting with your femininity, they will react to it in a negative way because they've you know, swallowed that lie and they think in that twisted way, and some women, it even scares them, you know, to see a man actually in touch with his femininity. And of course, I can tell you as a man that plenty of men are actually terrified of women who connect with both their feminine and masculine energy.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I can see that.
And so it's like I feel like what you were saying earlier, Sominique, is, you know, there's okay, you know, you may be a strong woman, but or a strong person, but you're also a woman who wants to hug and has affection and, you know, wants to express that and needs that. And I'm sure that you've dealt with many men not seeing that about you just because they don't know that. They don't know that a woman can have different aspects to her beingness. She can be in touch with her masculinity, and she can also be in touch with her femininity. She can feel like she uses her masculine to hold down what you got to do just to survive out here in the world. But when she comes time to connect with you, she wants to also feel like a woman who can, you know, be held and be kissed and be hugged and be loved and, you know, be treated in this way that, you know, I'm not this masculine only being. I also have femininity, you know, and, you know, full disclosure, not only this current partner, but other partners have told me that they have that same experience of like, you know, men not seeing that about them, which I thought was ironic because, you know, I guess because of my projector energy, when I focus on one person, right, Asiya, I really focus. And so I see as much as I can see about their whole being. And, you know, I'm not stereotyping her off the gate like, oh, you're a woman. Okay, I already know you like this, that, and the third. I don't know until I really hone in. And so I take the time to really take in people and get to know them, and particularly in a romantic relationship, in a romantic setting. So, you know, I'll see things that their partners didn't see in the past, and it's not because that was my goal. It was just because I sat down and paid attention. So we haven't been taught to sit down and pay attention. We've been told girls are like this, boys are like this. And so when we come into connection with each other, we actually don't realize that we have already stereotyped each other. And so we already have an assessment of how the other person is. It's like a false image. We think we know that person already, and we start to talk to them and deal with them based on that instead of saying, wait, you show me who you are. Let me sit down, let me see. We already have like filters, and so we're going off of that, and that's what causes all kind of strife, because then when the person shows us who they really are, they may not have been hiding it, but we never gave them a chance to show it. We assumed they were one way, they're another way. Now we have a problem with that because we're saying, nah, you're a woman, you're not supposed to be like that, or you're saying, oh, you're a man, men don't do that. So now we're judging each other and saying, you ain't a woman, and y'all are saying we ain't men, and it becomes very hurtful and painful, and this is why we have all kind of issues. Boom.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, thanks for that insight.
Absolutely, sis. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, it's good to hear, you know, a male be able to speak, you know, fluently from that understanding, and, you know, just, it's almost like a sense of relief, because it will be, you know, it's so many men who would just naturally like interject and find a way to, you know, argue everything that you just said, basically. And everything that you stated is, can you hear us? Somebody?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you're just saying that it's a relief to hear me say what I said, because most men would not even, they would have a problem with what was said. And, you know, I'll just say this real quick so you could continue, sis. That's what I felt after saying all this. I was like, I literally sighed, like a sigh of relief, like, because, yeah, it's really not something that is commonplace. I'm so tired of all these groups that I used to be a part of that I would end up leaving because of that same thing you just said. I would say something, they would say something, and then I realized, oh my God, they're on that shit, lack of a better term. They still on that, come in, and they still feel like it's 1950 with the old ideas of, you know, how men are and how women are. Yeah, but go ahead, sis, please continue.
Yeah, just overall, like, there's clearly like this hatred. There's like a hatred for women that is so strong coming from a lot of men these days, and like it's men who, you know, I can feel their hatred towards me, and it's just simply because I'm just being myself. It has nothing to do with anything other than I present myself and I operate in a way to where, you know, because I am a single definition, I am self-sufficient. You know, I wasn't even taught to depend on anyone, you know, like male, female, nobody. So it's like me just being myself is just, I've had men tell me that it's intimidating, it's threatening, it's irritating, you know, it's too masculine, you know, all of these different things. And it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? You know, like I'm not going to change, but at the end of the day, like I do understand my lane as a woman, you know, and it's like, if I'm going to connect with a man, there's naturally going to be a balancing. If that masculine energy is in harmony with mine, then there are just certain things that I will be able to cease doing, you know, as a individual woman who's doing things on my own. So, you know, it's all about finding a balance to your energy and your frequency and vibration. And again, communication, which you stated, communication is terrible because people don't know themselves. People don't know the needs, the genetic needs of other people. And, it creates this constant clashing of energies and these constant conflicts, because people are always expecting somebody else to operate the way that they see fit, only because everyone has their own individual perspective. But no, it's so hard to find people who will say, okay, I understand that my perspective is my perspective, but I'm interested in knowing your perspective. I'm interested in knowing what you need and learning how to expand past my limited perspective and accommodate what you need. Not necessarily compromise and take away from my individual needs to meet yours, but expand, you know, make sure I'm taking care of what I need, but expand and open up to your needs as well. And that way of thinking and operating is just, you know, it's like non-existent these days. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard to connect with people in general, not just even on the male female spectrum, but just in general, you know, it's hard.
For sure. Wow, that I just put my hand on my heart. To hear you say all that, I really feel for what you're saying, Asiya. That's so deep. It's like, wow. Yeah, because I mean, you literally set example of how you've literally been said. Come in. You've literally been told that, hold on a second.
I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick. Somebody.
Okay.
Okay, so y'all go ahead. I'll be right back.
Run to the bathroom. It's okay. Yeah. Damn, I put my heart on my hand on my heart, on my chest on that one.
Yeah, you know what? I got something I want to say, but she come back too.
Oh, okay. So let me ask you this: did you just connect with what she was saying with her experience? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
absolutely.
That's deep.
Yep.
That's so deep. That's so
all
deep.
the time. I feel like I'm very intimidating to men, and when you are established and you have your own, yeah, it's just everything is so much more challenging. It's like we just need to be the statistical lower vibrational woman in order to I guess in order to get that attention, you know what I'm saying? Not that I'm seeking that attention, but it's like we breathe right on past guys because we carry ourselves a different way.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when you do, people recognize that. Men and women, they recognize that. I'm sorry, I'm in this grocery store. So I'm trying to talk, and I'm like, people all around me. Oh, they're gonna be closing. I guess I better hurry the hell up.
Yeah, catch what you could catch.
Oh, you're back. So I had wanted to say, Asiya, in response to something that you said earlier, Houdini, when you was talking about your past relationships and even your relationship now, how women are taken by surprise that how well you can know them and relate to them on different levels, and that is so important. I'm thinking about past relationships, how even being in a relationship 5-6 years, how you could be with somebody for so long and they don't know shit about you.
Yes.
They don't know nothing about you.
Yes.
They don't know nothing about you when it comes to the ins and outs. They don't know anything about you. So that's what that made me think about. I was like, man, he's speaking over here, because if you can get with your woman and relate to her on a whole different level, and at a point where she can recognize and say that, man, I ain't never had no man, recognize this and this about me.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's like we're in relationships with strangers.
Even for years.
Yeah. I've had several married couples, or it'll be one person in the partnership who will, reach out to me for just understanding about themselves or their partner, and they've been married for 20 plus years, and within 5 minutes I've explained their situation better than their partner could ever explain it, or I've tapped into information about them that their partner never knew in those whole 20 years. And that to me is that's unbelievable, to be with somebody like for so long and they don't know you. But I'm sorry, I was just saying the relationship is so superficial, and you don't realize it until after you walk away from it. Yes.
I was with a partner in New York City, and she had told me that she had been with a man for 20 years, and that she never experienced with either that person or a person prior to that she was married to for like maybe 5 or more years, maybe 10
Wait, hold on. Wait, one second.
Sure.
What type of, where are you at?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to go on mute? I can go on mute. I won't be long. I'm in Heritage Health Food.
Oh, because I'm like, they are jamming with that music. Like, it's like a whole party going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, yo, we're like really listening to music right now. Like, okay.
Yep. Y'all so funny. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying the background.
Oh, what's that?
Go ahead.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
We must be needing it. That is so live. Oh my God.
Yeah.
They have the best incense in here.
What?
Yes.
Where you hailing at, sister? What state are you in, sis?
Oh, I'm in Chicago.
Oh, you're from Chicago with sister? Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, we go on adventures together. We went to Ethiopia last night.
Okay, that's wonderful. You got that sisterhood going. That's beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, I get to buzz her in person.
Yeah. But I love it. I need that.
Yes, that's beautiful. Oh my goodness. Yeah, friendship is a powerful thing, y'all. Yes.
Please make all final selections and bring them to the cashier.
Yes, before.
Well,
hurry up.
Houdini, what were you saying?
Oh,
do you remember?
I was gonna ask you if you remember.
Nah, I don't.
What about you? Remember?
Well, I know we had kind of.
Now I remember. Okay, so I was saying that, you know, a previous partner I had was telling me something similar to what Sominique was saying about, like, being in a relationship for years and yet not knowing the person. So, you know, she was in a relationship for 20 years, and the dude knew certain things about her, but other things he really didn't know, even after all that time. And she was married to a person who was the same thing, and, you know, even my current partner could tell you, you know, similar thing that she's told me, you know, oh my gosh, these past partners didn't know me, you just getting to know me, and you actually knowing me. So it's really interesting that, like you use the word shallow, right? So, and another thing I heard, oh my gosh, again, Asiya, what you said was so profound about, you know, men actually saying, you know, the intimidation they'll feel and the, you know, the other...
Say that last part.
Sure. The intimidation that they might feel.
Oh, yes.
Like talking to you and getting to... But see, to me, it's like, all right, so even, and like you also said, Asiya, so, you know, sometimes even if you look at just friendships, right? So there's a female friend I have, and I remember her and I talking, you know, having these great conversations, and we also would talk about relationships between men and women, and she said that's another thing also, like even on a friendship level, you know, it's been a rare experience for her to connect with a man like this, so it's really, but what I noticed, the theme is connecting all things that we're saying. Like I could almost see you sitting down at a table across from a man that you're both at the table talking, right? And him not realizing that it's all about communication.
Yeah.
Because as men, we've not been taught to communicate, let alone communicate effectively. We've been taught to be aggressive, violent, you know, dominating.
Yes.
And so those don't work in a communication, right, setting. And so, you know, to me, it was just mind-blowing to hear you say these things, and I'm going, but see, they would lose some of that intimidation just by actually having a deep conversation with you. Just by allowing you to express who you are, and they would go, oh my gosh, what? You're like that? Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
Oh, I like you. Or, oh, wow, you may be strong, but you're not what I thought strong man, or what I imagine a strong woman would think about X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, it's really, so I'm flabbergasted that so many of us don't understand that we have to communicate. If we don't communicate, we're going to keep running into these problems that we keep having with each other, where we're assuming things and we're not expressing that we're assuming things, and then we're acting like what we think is true, and that's creating the problem because it's not true many times or most times, and then you're talking to someone and they're reacting to that thing. So, it has to be said. We're taught to be in bed, we're taught to live in the same house, we're taught to these things we're supposed to do, but communication is not happening. And it's crazy that people feel like they could actually be physically intimate, but not be, but they don't look at communication and truth-telling as a deep intimacy that needs to happen.
Yes.
We're not telling each other who we are. We're so afraid of who we really are, and many times we don't even know who we are because we don't even, figure that out within ourselves and then express that to the next person.
Right.
Yeah. So my partner talks about this man, Neil Diamond Walsh. He has this book series, Conversations with God. And one I think it's the first book or the second, actually. I think it's the second. He talks about what she dubbed the 5 principles of truth telling, where he says God says to Neil, you have to tell the truth to yourself about yourself. Then you have to tell the truth about yourself to someone else. And then there's 3 other principles, but they have to do with truth, just telling the truth. And so that's what's missing. It's the last thing I'll say, so you can say what you need to say, sis.
Yeah, let me check on Sominique.
Okay.
Sominique, did you want to respond to anything that he said?
No, I was just trying to say that I heard of Neil Diamond Walsh. I heard of him in, what was it? Oh, in The Secret. I don't know if you ever listened to that.
Oh, absolutely. I love that.
Oh, you know what? It's going to make me put it in my pen anyway. It always does that. I'm almost done in the story, guys.
Okay. Cool, so good. Yeah.
I know that there would be more because of how this live stream and radio show is split, and I can't get it all running. These topics that we're talking about, I know is more people that would really love to engage. And I'm not sure if there are more people watching on the live stream or on the radio, but for anyone who is watching on the YouTube live stream, if you want to call in to the radio show or log in through your device and type into the chat, feel free to do so. Because these topics, this is the need for these topics to be spoken on is bigger than just the 3 of us. And I feel like what I'm going to have to do is take this video once this live stream is done and then add the audio from because the radio show is being recorded, so people will be able to listen back to this recording, but take this recording and add it to the live stream video and put it back up. But I definitely want to find whatever platform or however I can connect these two so that more people can be engaged, because these things that we're talking about is, these are our major topics that I consistently hear complaints about. People are just distraught over these particular issues in their lives, and it's people need a platform. People are wanting to express themselves and just really get things off of their chest, and that's what I was hoping to do here, is to get more people to call in and just so we can just all engage and just connect. But this is a test show, but what we're talking about is still very valuable, and I'm really glad that you're sharing your perspective and your awareness on these topics, because it's very difficult to find men who will openly talk about these things. And just I mean, everything that you said is so on point, and the lack of communication, the lack of awareness, it makes it almost impossible for two individuals to fuse together in a way that can actually promote empowerment of each other and growth, because that's what you get, a lack of the ability for people to empower each other in friendships and relationships. And it's like that's what people in the end, when you really just think about people that get into relationships and end up falling out of those relationships or friendships, it's always because somebody did something or is doing something that the other person didn't like. There's always like this lack of empowerment of the other. You know, it turns out to be, you know, insecurities or jealousies or envies or something that deals with just this inability to keep the connection updated. You know, like people don't update their relationships. People feel that whatever they felt in the very beginning is literally going to last forever without any type of communication to update what is going on as individuals change within their own reality. But then as you know, you're changing within yourself, and you're going through your own individual cycles, but then you're merged with a whole nother organism and energy field, and they're changing too. And it's just very unrealistic to think that you can continue to move forward with a person through time and space and not communicate, hey, last week, you know, I was feeling this way, but this week I feel something completely different. People go months and years without being honest about the changes that, you know, are taking place within inside of them. And a lot of it stems from them never learning how to acknowledge those things within themselves to be able to communicate those things to somebody else. So it's like people feel these changes, they witness things going on, but they don't know how to open their mouths and even put the words together to express it to their partner or to their friends. And there's a fear of, if I tell them that I feel differently or that I've changed, they're going to leave me, or they're not going to be my friend anymore. You know, like we just naturally cage ourselves. We naturally like lock ourselves into these inexpansive realities, and we stay stuck to people, and it's like we become hardened within ourselves, and then we become hardened with the other person. And then eventually we're like just two hard rocks trying to, you know, like mesh together like water, and there's no way for that to happen anymore. You know, it's just...
Yeah. That is crazy that you see that, because that is so true. I feel like, you know, we're hearing each other say such on point things. It's really amazing, isn't it, that there's this sort of almost like a stubbornness, like this rigidity, like you were describing it, where it's like it's supposed to be whatever it was in the beginning, it's going to be solid, continual, and the one thing that is always constant, we know, is change, you know, and so we're so afraid that while we change, and in a way it makes sense, because we're living in this society that is teaching us that that's a problem, that you're not supposed to change in a relationship. That means that you're doing something wrong, and you're doing wrong by the person you're with if you change, and it's crazy because you know, whatever things come up for you, desires, needs, wants, concerns, questions, comments, you know, realizations, epiphanies, like this is all part of being human. So if you can't even express that with the person you're closest with, you know, and it's so true, right? That, you know, you see these marriages, like, you know, I remember being in New York, and a partner of mine was telling me that she had a friend, she had two married friends, and when she told them about our relationship, they were saying, wait a minute, y'all talk that much? She said, that's too much work. I don't have time for that. And she said to her, wait a minute. Yeah, exactly. And she said, wait a minute now, aren't you married? And she said, yeah, but my husband is lucky if he gets a hello when he comes home. She said that to her friend. That was my girlfriend at the time.
Oh, my.
And I was like, word?
So imagine how their household is. Oh, my goodness.
Exactly. But,
wow.
But that's a common trait. Like, that's a common theme. Like, the other friend of hers was saying the same thing. Like, they were laughing about it like it was funny. And my heart broke. I said to her, you know, this is sad because I'm not even married with you, and we talk more than both of your friends combined, and they're both married?
Wow.
I don't understand.
Yeah, that goes back to the original topic. Like, why does society make everybody, you know, feel bad for expressing emotions, communicating, you know, coming out with their feelings and what's bothering them, what's bottled up. It's the way that society makes everybody seem like, oh, you're a weak person, you're weak-minded, so you can't, you know, they just make you feel stupid for sharing your feelings and your emotion or the things that are bothering you to the point where you feel like you need to bottle it in, keep it in, and then it just festers, and then next thing you know, the relationship is just over. It's totally over.
Sominique, I literally started laughing because I just remembered that something came to me that I had recently stopped being officially friends with a male friend of mine for the same reason what y'all are talking about.
Yeah.
He said to me, he said something to me via, how ridiculous is this? If I may share this example. Y'all ready for this? Y'all want to hear this? Okay, because it's really interesting. So I met him in person. We were friends in person in New York City, and we would connect on Facebook sometimes for like little business deals that he would think would interest me. So he would hit me up and he'll tell me, oh, Houdini, such and such thing is going on. Check it out. Tell me if you like it. If you like it, then I'll tell you how you could get involved and make some money. And I'll be like, cool, not cool, whatever, right? So, but in the midst of that, he was my friend first. So he would talk to me like a friend, and then he would talk to me about business, and then we would, you know, part ways. But he started to do this thing I noticed where he would, so it was like, okay, so he would say, look, I don't like this thing that you did. And I would be like, okay, let's talk about it. And then we would have a resolution. That's what friends do, right? Well, if you actually really, truly communicate, right? Like y'all are saying. Well, it got to the point where I started noticing this other thing where in his feelings, he would, so he would put something on me. Like, let's say he had a hurt about someone who he feels like, okay, he wasn't loved enough by a friend of his, right? So when he started dealing with me as we got more into our friendship, he would do these things where he would make me pay for something another friend did. Like, he would start treating me like I was this old friend that did him wrong, and I would be like, yo, I didn't do that to you. Why are you saying this? Like, why would you even, right? And but it was never like, don't talk. You know, I always want to hear what he has to say, but I would say, please don't say that type of thing. Like don't accuse me of something I didn't do, you know. But so the last thing he did recently before, you know, me feeling like, you know what, I just got to dissolve this friendship with you because, and it was funny, I guess in my projectiness, at first I started to say to him, you know, this is how I am. This is what I need. If that is in disagreement with you, if you are not interested in that, let me know that you don't want to be my friend anymore, because that's just what it is, you know. And what ended up happening is he said to me that same thing, Sominique. He said, well, don't be a little bitch and don't be a baby. And I was like, what? Wait a minute, how come when I was like, word? Now, here's the craziest thing. Most of my friends are older than me. So here's someone that could be my father saying that to me. So I said to him, I said, wow, you know, I was like, how could you say that to me? How come when I express myself, I'm being a little bitch, but when you express yourself, you're just going through something. You're just being a human being. How come I don't get that same courtesy? I'm a human being. Like, so what he ended up saying, y'all, is he said, oh, I'm going through a lot of things. Like, this is how it was. He hit me up. I think he messaged me. It was a written text, and then I said, all right. And then I called him through Facebook. The first thing he says when he picks up the phone, he said, "Wow, you really know how to make somebody feel like a piece of shit." I said, "What?" It was like he slapped me in the face. I was like, "What are you talking about, Joaquin? I just called you." And he was like, he said, "Well, you haven't called me in forever." I said, "I was going through a lot of things with my health and moves. I've moved. I've had a lot of transition and crises in my life." This is his response. "Oh, it can't be as bad as what I'm going through. I'm going through some crazy stuff, and you know what I'm going through." And I said, "You know what?" I said, "All right," because it was like he convinced himself. Like, he wasn't even trying to hear. He didn't even allow me the space to say, "Well, tell me what's going on. It must be a lot for you." Like, he didn't trust that if I didn't call you, it's because I'm not able to call you. It's not because I'm not your friend anymore, And it hurt that when he was going through all kind of stuff and I was there for him as a friend, consoling him, when I said to him, "Yo, I need that same courtesy, like I was going through a lot," he couldn't even give me that. He was just like, "Nah, you ain't going through a lot. I'm going through a lot, and I don't appreciate that you weren't there for me like you were supposed to be, because supposedly you're my friend." Like, he was saying I was a bad friend. That was just his judgment, like, straight out. No kind of, So that's that thing when we don't really communicate effectively. We don't ask the person the questions that we need to ask. We make assumptions. And at the end of the day, I just told him, "You know what? Nah, man, I'm done. Like, for real, like, I told him I was about ready to say go fuck yourself, but the only reason I didn't do it is because I felt like it would be disrespectful because he's older than me. And I grew up with this, I grew up in an Afro-Latino culture. And so we're very much about, like, the elders, you give them the respect. If whatever relationship you have with them, you still got to give them that respect. So him cursing at me, I still didn't come out of character and curse him out. I just said, "You know what? I can't do this anymore. Like, since since my feelings are too much for you, then let me just fall back. Let me just do me, because, I'm not going to change just because you telling me I need to stop expressing myself." He
seems like he's a very self-absorbed person.
A very what now?
He seems to be a very self-absorbed person.
Yes, that was the feeling. It's like, it's your world, nobody else matters. Like, your agenda, like, he will push things on people, and he has expected them to just, fall in line. And when you say something he don't like, he's just gonna tell you, "Nah, that's not acceptable," And I was just like, I'm done going through this with you, man. I try to be your friend for a few years now, and all I get is the same. And now you took it to another level. Like, you took it to 1,000 right now, telling me I'm this, someone who can't control their feelings and emotions, when all I'm doing is telling you what I'm feeling. It's not incontrollable or uncontrollable. It's just the truth. I'm just telling you, and I'm not even putting you down, but you actually put me down. You telling me there's something wrong with me, and I never said there was anything wrong with you. I'm just saying I don't like this. This makes me feel like that. So I, you actually, Sominique, saying what you said kind of added to my feeling of I did the right thing, by, and that is true that this happens. This thing happens where we could express ourselves and people can make it about them. And it's like, dude, it's not even about you. It's just what I'm feeling, and I'm telling you because we're close. I should be able to talk to you, and you could talk to me because you tell me all kind of stuff, and I'm cool, so why can't you be cool? So, it like you said, Asiya, it's a rare thing that you could actually talk with someone and have this kind of deep and have this kind of communication where you express yourself fully, and that's accepted, and that's supported, because most people can't even do that.
No, yeah, they just want to like unload it, like dump all of their mess on you and just leave it right there where it's at, and then they feel better and they're done. They're totally done.
Yeah.
Like, forget what you're going through. Like, I feel bad. I gotta go. Talk to you later.
Yeah, you're like, wow. Like, I'm not a trash can for you to just dump your shit in. Like, really? You know, I'm not a toilet. Like, what are you doing? You know? What were you saying, Asiya?
I was gonna say, when I hear about, you know, situations between people that come to this explosive end to where it concludes, like, you know, what you just shared, I always think about what was the actual foundation. You know what I'm saying? Like, how did you all start off the relationship?
Oh, yes.
It's like if the relationship did not, or the friendship did not start to where boundaries were set or needs were expressed, then how can it not end in some type of confusion like that? You know, because think about it. How long were you friends with this person before you knew their human design, or before you knew like anything about them at a core level? So the whole time it's like that. To me, it had to be a high level of superficial energy floating around between the two, because you all never had a real foundation to start with.
Yeah, you're right. Because with what you're saying, to respond, I noticed that I would, anytime I would attempt to get in a deeper level with him, he would, you know, sort of block it. Like, he would kind of shut it down. Yeah. And I would be like, what is this about? And at the end of the day, I would just be like, you know, I would be like, all right. And I would give myself space from him. And then eventually when he would contact me and I was ready, I would hit him back up. Yeah. So it was this sort of butting my head against a wall. But you're right. It was that. He was always coming with that shallowness. And even when I, you know, it was when that sort of like straw that broke the camel's back, when it happened enough times for me to realize, you know what, this is not going anywhere. I'm trying to make this something it's not. You know, you want me to just be this person that you think I'm supposed to be, and just stay in the shallow level and still call me friend. You still want me to be there for you, but I can't be a vulnerable, fully myself person because the way I am. So he feels like he's not like me, even though there's ways in which I literally could see, like I said, he's in touch with his feelings. Sometimes he's cried or felt some things, and, you know, I would just support it. I would never feel weird or, you know, brush it off or, you know, say anything against it. But when I was doing that, all of a sudden it's a problem. I'm like, what is going on? So, you know, it's a weird, like you said, but it was always that. He always just wanted to keep it, except for I think when he couldn't take it, then he would just vent on me and just need me to just listen and just then move on, but not give him anything, which is actually something weird that a lot of people have in New York City, by the way. It's not a generalization what I mean by it. It's just that when you're dealing with a city where, so when you're outside of a big city, there's more room for connections and you have more time to kind of hang out with people. Living in like in New York City with so many people and so much you have to do just to get by, and, you know, finances and all that. So people are hustling and bustling and hardly have time to even spend time with their own family.
That's right. That's right.
So so when he contacts me, he might be friendly, but he's trying to just say what he needs to say and then kind of like a stick and move, you know? Yeah, like a drive by. And so, like somebody was saying, so it's basically like, you know, just listen to me and let me go because I ain't got time to listen to you. So even whether he takes 5 minutes or an hour, you know, it's about him. So that's this thing that, you know, it's hard for city folk to really understand, that we may not have, you know, you may not have all the time that, you know, people who don't live in the city have, but you you got to carve out enough time to have a reciprocation, because friends will not feel like you're friends when you're the only one, you know, saying what they need to say. It becomes this one-sided monologue, and it's very, it starts to really bring you down, and it makes you feel like, you know, unappreciated in a relationship or in a friendship of any kind.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, I had asked him his info, and he has so he's from the Dominican Republic, where my mother is from. And and over there, and in their era, when people were born, you would go 3 days after the child was born. Let's say the child was born in your house, which a lot of people, you know, in the country, in DR, which my mother was born in the country, they weren't born in a hospital. They were born like in their house. So, you know, the baby's born in the house, and then you go to the hospital or records office to, you know, officiate, like get a certificate for this baby that was born, and the dates would be off, right? Because let's say, you know, they were notorious for making errors in the date. Like, you'll tell them one date, they'll put another date, or you'll say this date guesstimating, because you might not be able to go till like a month after, and you don't remember the exact day your child was born. So now you're telling them, right? So he was one of the only persons I ever met who told me, I don't know my exact birthday. Because of that, what happened with my family. Yeah, because he comes from a large family. They were having babies like crazy, and mom didn't remember the exact day, and they put a guesstimated day. So he's either a Leo or a Cancer. So he doesn't even know that, you know, let alone the human design. So, yep. So I was like, dang. So
he really doesn't celebrate a birthday.
Exactly. It's a weird thing. So I'm sure he has feelings about that, you know, that he hasn't expressed, you know, and hasn't healed from. Like, and that's one thing my partner and I talk about, this whole thing about people not having enough healing in their lives. And then, of course, dealing with each other, we keep wounding each other because we haven't healed from our own wounds. You know, we keep sort of like, it's almost like a spiritual scab. We keep ripping each other's scabs off by the things we say and do. Right. And then the healing doesn't happen fully. So, yeah, he's a very wounded individual, and he don't even recognize it. He even put God in it. He was just saying, like, you know, he said something about me not having enough faith in God, and, you know, I was like, really? Okay, so now we're there. Now we're judging my relationship with God. Like, I was just like, this is insane. Like, I was like, how would you know what my relationship with God is, if at all? What do you know about how I feel about what that even should be or not? Like, why? Because now you go to church, now you're going to tell me? Like, you don't know. You haven't even asked me.
It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter anymore. Like, I'm listening, and it's like, when you recognize that there's a certain level that people will not allow themselves to reach, either because they can't see it, or you know, whatever is keeping them stuck. It's like, once you recognize that, I've learned that you have to remove your energy. Like, you can no longer argue or go back and forth with that person, because once you see the truth of it, it's pointless. And now you're the person that is pretty much being foolish, because it's like, oh, I see where you're at. I see that you're not really capable of seeing my perspective or getting past this level of judgment that you have towards others. Okay, that's it. You know, of course, there are people who don't have that ability to break bonds like how I do. But for you, you know, being a projector, it's like, once you see that, you don't have any way of really knowing the needs of this person who you call your friend, and he doesn't even know how to express that to you. It's almost like there's no bridge. There's no bridge to really have a connection, and you just have to bow out.
That's it. That's right. I took a bow, and I love that you said that, sis, because that's exactly the feeling I had of, like, oh my gosh, like, it was this epiphany, aha, like, okay, I have nothing more to offer here, And like you said, it would be pointless for me to carry on. I said, wow, this is deep, my man. You know, and so he didn't understand that when I was telling him, like, when I was giving him the opportunity to say, yeah, this is too much, and I realized that's it, where he couldn't even say that. He couldn't even say, look, man, I can't deal with your... He was trying to tell me, just stop it. It's like a faucet. He was like saying, you know, just turn off your feelings. And I was like, feelings is part of being a human being. Like, you telling me what? Once I realized that he couldn't do that, he could only tell me to do what he felt in his mind that is supposed to be, I realized it was pointless for me to try to help him see what I was saying. He couldn't even understand what I was saying. I said, wow, all right, my man, we done. Look, we just have a good life. God bless, you know, peace. Like, yo, don't contact me anymore. And I think I didn't even say that. I think I just did a block on Facebook.
Yeah.
Because I noticed he didn't want to stop. He wanted to. He's still trying to be my friend. He's still trying to tell me, look, just Bo. I said, wow, okay, nah, you ain't hearing me. I'm telling you, we're done. So then I just blocked him, and I said, all right, cool. So, yeah, and, you know, like you said, it was obviously superficial from the beginning, also because I don't miss it. You know, I just remember all the headaches of trying to have a conversation with him. So, yeah.
Yeah, especially when you can look at the timeline of a connection with a person and see that it was mostly like irritating or frustrating or, you know, like creating all of these low frequencies within you. It's like at some point, you know, you get to this reality within yourself to where you're like, oh, okay, now it's me being stupid. You know, like, and we've all been there. I know I have, like, I've found myself doing stupid things over and over and over again, but when I get to that point to where it's like, it's just so dumb to where I'm like looking at myself in the mirror like, what's wrong with you? When it really hits you, that's when it's like, okay, I'm over it, you know, and you just have to let go.
You know what? You know what I find? How we get in those moments like that where you look back and you feel really, really shitty, like, what was I even thinking? It's because sometimes the shit is so gradual, then it all just comes to a head, and that's when you break the bond.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Initially, it started off okay. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, it was some foundational things in the beginning that you probably could have paid attention to, but it's so subtle. It's so subtle, and then it's just over time, the shit just comes to a head, and you just like, let me
Yeah. I was like, because I heard her laughing, sis, and I was like, oh my God, what's going on? But now that you said it, now I see why you laughing, because it's true. It's like you uncovered this big thing that you didn't fully realize was there. And you're like, oh my God, really? And then, okay, now I'm done. That's all right. I'm good.
Yeah. Because you realize you're like losing precious moments out your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, like my life is ticking away, and I'm spending moments dealing with your, you know, with this frequency that I know better. Like, I know that I shouldn't be dealing with this frequency. But it's almost like we need, there is a need for that type of conflict. Like, I find myself finding a way to get into some type of resistant situation, because it's almost like if things are just smooth, like, for too long, you can't build the muscle that you need for, like, that next level. So you find yourself, like, unconsciously, like, gravitating into something where you know is going to be an issue, but you do it because you need the friction in order to grow into something new. So I feel that, of course, there's a lot of relationships that that play that particular role, but, you know, it's like at some point, especially when you get older, like, we're all like in our 30s now, and it's like, okay, we just don't have time. We don't have time for that. It's like if we sniff out it's a problem, it's like it's better to avoid it. You know what I'm saying? Unless you just find yourself comfortably gradually getting into the situation, and then you find out later, oh, okay, I needed this conflicting situation for a bigger purpose. But if you know in the beginning, like, no, don't do it, and then you still do it, and then you fall flat on your face, that's all on you. Because there are situations to where it, like, I have found that my body will resonate to a situation that still ends up falling apart, but it was because I needed that. But when I find resistance to a situation and I go against my body and still go into it and it falls apart, it's a different feeling behind it. You see what I'm saying? Because it's like,
absolutely.
Just like, when you get into a relationship with someone and it falls apart, but there are things that actually came out of that relationship that you literally see like, oh, I needed this for the next 10 years of my life or something. Yeah. So there was still something that was needed, but it wasn't necessarily for that particular relationship to last forever. So it's all about, just feeling the intelligence of your inner guidance, because it's always there. It's never going to lie to you. It's up to you to trust in that and listen to it and follow that, and not let the mind come in and like sway you into some other direction. But it all takes time and discipline. Yeah,
discipline. And like you said, even, especially, this splenic, experience we have of these intuitive flashes, and it's like, if we don't pay attention to that, we'll miss out on those moments that are not necessary for us to go through, right? Yeah, so totally agree with you on all of that. And things are the situations where we, needed to go through that for that growth is like, because the universe has our back always, and is always ready to give us everything we need, because it's always working on our behalf for our good.
Yes.
So when we trust that, and then we can know that it's okay when we say yes, and it's okay when we say no. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, we've definitely gone through some deep relationship stuff.
Yeah. I'm really interested to hear what other people have to say on this. So we're gonna have to figure out something in creating like a forum so that more people can participate. Because I just know, like, I know it's people out there that, want, just by the people that come to me personally, I know that there's so many more that really want to talk about these particular topics. So we're gonna figure this out.
Yeah.
Sominique, how you looking over there?
Go down.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with it. I think that's going to be a good idea for them.
Yeah. Because where is there a forum where men and women can actually, air out these things and like you said, hash out these topics? It's
without it being a battle of the sexes,
Yes.
That is like so.
Men against women, women against men. Yes. And that's so deep that's what we're dealing with, right? It's like, and it's like, no wonder it's so hard to actually feel like, potential relationships have a chance at feeling successful in any way, because there is this battle of the sexes, and like you said, sometimes it's like feeling like you're sleeping with the enemy. Like earlier, I feel like Sominique was saying something that felt like that to me. Like, it's like sometimes, you might be with someone, they don't know you, and because they don't know you, they'll, and you said something, Asiya, where they'll keep doing stuff, and it's hurting you, and you told them, you may have said, look, I don't like this, or maybe they didn't say what they didn't like, but it becomes this like people are treating each other badly, and they're like partners, and I remember being in a partnership where I was telling my partner, like, hello, earth to partner, like, I'm with you, the way you talking to me is like, you don't see that I am with you, like, I care about you, what's up, what are you doing? And because all she saw was examples of terrible relationships, very full of strife and full of tension. And so, most of us don't have an example of a, very positive or very, peaceful, nice flowing relationship, successful, progressive, whatever. And so, it's hard to, actually have that when you haven't been taught how to have that or seen that anywhere as an example,
Right, right.
Oh, and I got something I want to say about that. Because that makes me think about so many things. Somebody said something to me. A friend of mine. Basically after I had my child, and we were talking about some things. Some things had went sour between my daughter's father, and basically I told him in a nutshell, I was like, I really need to sit back and figure out what is it with me that's wrong with me in these relationships. I think that's a big thing too. We're not looking at our patterns. These people are just, being with men or being with women and doing the same things, carrying the same things from their last relationship into the next relationship. They don't even, it's just like being a robot. You with a man, you with a woman, and you don't even know each other, and you're doing the same thing that you did in the last relationship. You think that's what life is about, and you're going to do that in the next relationship. Well, that's different, but you still didn't figure out why. Right. What's going on with you, or what happened wrong between you two, and how could you change, how could you be better for the next relationship? Like, we need to think about that thing instead of just being like, a robot, just a machine and just going right into the next relationship, kicking it, hanging out with these people, socializing, go home, you sleep together. You sleep together, you lay together, you get up, and you don't even know who this person is. You're just doing it because, you want this partnership, this relationship, but you really don't understand what the hell is going on. Right.
Right.
Yes. 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 And that's a very powerful point that, feeling like, okay, it takes two to tango. What was my part, if at all, that led or helped to create whatever tension, issues, trouble, strife, etc. Like doing a self-check on a regular basis.
Well, that's how we can grow, right? That's how we can grow, even at a job. You do the same thing at a job. If you can't evaluate yourself, guess what? Your manager is going to give you a performance review, right? Where we talk about what you can improve upon, right? Like, we need to do that with ourselves too, in our relationships, our friendships, our family, whatever. Like, I don't know. It's just like you always need to keep yourself in check about why things are the way that they are, if they're sour, why.
Yes. Self-reflection.
And but the assumption, like you said it, the point is, when you want to grow, not everyone wants to grow. And so what happens is that when we, like Asiya was saying, when we connect with people and then it comes to a point where we realize, wait a minute, you're not trying to grow, basically, like you're not even on that frequency. Okay, so let me bow out. Because many people don't understand that that's an aspect of being with each other, is growth, not staying the same.
Right.
People want to use the same old tactics that didn't work then and still are not working now. In 2017, they want to use it, right? Yeah, so it's crazy, and that's what happens. Right? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying they're just being stagnant. Nobody's really thinking about what's going on, not looking at the patterns. They're just stagnant.
Yeah, and that's a good point where you said about, what was it? People can say the same thing to you in different partners and you still doing the same. It's like, okay, they can't all be wrong, honey. Like, other men told you this, and now you still, this is not a male thing. This is a you thing. Like, you got to see that you keep doing this. When you going to stop doing this? It's a choice we make, right? Go ahead, Sister Asiya.
No, I mean, I totally agree. And, because, man, it almost gets redundant, when you just look at all of the different issues. It's like you look at a tree of different issues, and it still comes back to like one thing, which is not knowing self, not being able to understand the needs of self, be able to reflect on self, and understanding those patterns that you have are part of knowing self. So if you never were taught to understand yourself, there was nothing ever introduced to you in life for you to look at you and to understand you, then you're just your energy and the way that you move and operate is just connecting with different people and playing out the patterns of you as self, and you're not recognizing it because it's just you, and you weren't taught to say, okay, you have a pattern, so these are your characteristics, these are your patterns that you will consciously and unconsciously play out, but more so unconsciously. And when you come up against different patterns, then it's going to cause you to operate, this way or that way. And it's like people just are never taught to be aware of these things. So when they do find themselves doing the same things over and over again, it never even comes into their consciousness to look at, to look at their own patterns. And when somebody says, hey, you need to look at yourself, there's backlash from them because it's almost like you have triggered something that they can't even understand. And that's when you get the defenses. That's, you get all of this rejection to anything that deals with self because it hasn't been introduced to them. Out of all of these years that they've been alive and been doing these same things over and over again, it's almost like an attack coming from you to say, look at yourself, look at your patterns. It has something to do with you. It's like, for them, it's like, how dare you say something so foreign to me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I have no idea what you're talking about, and F you. Bye. It's like they can't even... It's not a part of their psyche. It's not a part of anything that they have been built upon. So it's an invasion. It's like you're invading their space with information and ideas that they cannot comprehend. So we get it, as we're having this conversation, but so many people, they wouldn't even know the first step to looking at their own patterns and looking at their own self when it comes to the issues that they continuously come up against when it comes to trying to bond with people or have friendships or any type of real, authentic connection.
Yeah. It almost makes me wonder, and I'm sure y'all too, like how does that even work? Like how do you actually build or try to build and establish, this kind of foundation in life with someone, whether romantically or friendship or whatever, and you're not even truly deeply communicating. That's why I like people like Brad, I forgot his last name. He's a psychiatrist or psychologist, and he wrote the book Radical Honesty. And he talks about how most people are not fully honest, and how we've been taught because of, political correctness and etiquette. We've been taught to be on this passive sort of, communication style and level instead of being assertive but not aggressive. You can, I can tell you how I feel without, attacking you. Now, like you said, you might feel attacked because of your wounds and trauma that you have not even noticed. And I have lost count how many times, I've had conversations with people close to me, and they said, based on, like along the lines of what you're saying, they said, oh my gosh, I didn't even notice that thing about me that you noticed about me. Like, you're helping me see something about myself I didn't even know, and I'm older than you. And I would be like, that's cool, because it's about the communication. People in past generations were not taught to have these deep levels of communication. They were just taught to do stuff. and get through all the hardships they went through and just deal with the responsibilities of life and what comes with that. And you're supposed to have a 2.2 kids and the house and the car, and whether you wanted that or not, you're supposed to fall in line with all that back in that eras, in those eras. And now, you know, we're living in a different era. So, you know, your relationship may look completely different from your parents, from your grandparents especially, and so on and so forth. So, you know, that's where that comes into play. Yeah. But communication is so key in so many damaged relationships. Like you said, family, friends, lovers, because there's not that actual deep expression and vulnerability. We've been taught not to be vulnerable. You know, like emotions are weakness. I mean, I had a child recently tell me that, you know, I said, why did you say that to me? And she said, because I didn't want you to know what I was feeling. And I said, well, why didn't you want me to know what you were feeling? And she said, because so I still have this past old mentality, she said, of like emotions are weakness. And I said, oh my God, you're a little girl and you feel like that? What's going to happen when you're an adult?
Right.
I was so shocked. I was like, wow, really? You already buying into this?
Wow.
Like, damn, they already got you? Like, really? So, yeah, so imagine, she's a female, and she's young, under 16, and she's telling me that emotions, she still is trying to let go of the idea that emotions are a form of weakness. I said, wow, this is the society we live in. It has created this. So, you know, I've seen women that they felt like they could not cry in front of, you know, men. And when they cried in front of me, it was such a relief to go, oh my gosh, I can cry with you. Do you know what that feels like, holding all this stuff in? I didn't even know I was holding it in until I met someone that I could actually be my full self with. And like you said, on all levels, even as friends, it's like, wow. So there's so many masks that we have been conditioned to put on that we don't even know who we are, most of us. We don't even know, you know, and like you said, thank God it's for tools like that we have on hand, you know, but, and you know, and that behooves us to take advantage of these tools and use them to the max, to continue to know ourselves deeper, more, and those around us, and be the best we can be, because we're living in a world this is not what it is. You know, they're on some other stuff. And but there's a cry and a yearning for it, and how many women, for example, are like so interested in a relationship and they're not understanding why it's so hard. They may know it's hard, but they don't understand, why is it so hard for me to, you know, actually be in a relationship? Why is it so hard for me to find someone that I could vibe with, you know, or why is it so hard for me to get attention, you know, from men, from women, whatever. So there's cluelessness, you know, about how things work, about what's going on, because you just put your hand in your sand and you work and you do what you're supposed to do, and you feel like everything's supposed to just work out just because you're doing what you're being told to do, but you're being told to do stuff that doesn't work. That's why it's not working.
Yes.
Yeah. It never worked, but people keep trying to make it work.
Right.
Work. Yeah.
Yes, it's clear that it doesn't work.
Yes. The fact that we could count on one hand how many successful, thriving relationships we've seen out here is a testament to the fact that it's not working.
Yeah.
It's not working, man. Yeah. Mind blowing, huh?
Yeah, but you know, it's good to just talk about it with other people who, you know, who just understand and that can actually speak on it and provide, you know, insight and personal experiences. So
Indeed. This is a godsend, sis. It's a godsend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So Sominique, how you doing over there?
Dominique, you still with us?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, I'm at the restaurant. I didn't want you guys to hear all the good things. So y'all seeing some good things here.
Yes. She's on the move. On the move.
Yeah, I'm on the move. And you know what? You guys have made wonderful points, and I did want to say something to Houdini when he mentioned how the little girl, she did want to show her emotions, and how, you know, a child is suffering with those feelings, because I felt the same way. I felt like, you know, my mother, and that came has come with me, accompanied me into my adulthood as well, because I feel like as a woman I shouldn't be crying at times. You know, it's something that I'm working through myself. So yeah, I thought that was very interesting to hear that a little girl is feeling that way already, that she needs to shun her feelings and you know, suppress her, you know, want to cry or show emotions, whatever it is. Already.
Yeah. And in a way it makes sense. Thank you for sharing that. It's in a way it makes sense that the same society that will tell men not to cry would also begin to tell women the same message, you know, whether directly or indirectly. That's basically the message, because now y'all are going into the corporate world and you're basically being told that you need to man up.
Yes.
You know, which is crazy, because what happens is that you start to teach someone to man up. That's not going to stay in the workplace. That comes back home. So you got to be this man 24/7 just to survive in society. And you know, all things feminine are shunned. So it's like, you know, it's a negative thing to be a woman, like a woman in any way. Or to connect with anything that is connected to being a woman. So, you know, it's really detrimental. It's unhealthy, and that's so deep. But it's so deep to actually feel that, to go, oh my gosh, you know, we're living in a society where women don't feel like they can't even cry anymore.
Yep.
You know, y'all can't cry, and I mean, because again, as a man, I'm telling you, it's bad enough that they you know, it's been messed up for so long already that, you know, men have been told as little boys not to cry. You know, it's a difference between teaching balance and teaching imbalance, because really they've not realized that they were teaching an imbalance. You're actually creating an unhealthy situation where a male child will eventually like rage out in another way, because that emotion is going to come out some way.
Yeah.
You know, if you keep telling him to bottle it up, he's going to be a volcano erupting, which is part of why we see a lot of our men in prison. That's actually a big part of it that's not realized. Yeah, so it's like, what do you want? You want someone that when they need to cry, they let it out, or that, you know, they go into a store and start shooting up? Because there's men that have done that because they could not be fully themselves, you know, and so, you know, they didn't even know how to handle their emotions, because they were told to just bottle it up, just put it, suppress it, just hold it in, and that all it does is create a later scenario that's going to be worse. It's going to be, you know, amplified. It's going to be on a deeper level. So, you know, I feel like with y'all as women, that's what's happening too. You're being parts of you are being shut down, and I feel like that's how come we're seeing a lot of diseases within the female anatomy. You know, it's like, like even if you look at cancer and other stuff, so it's like you can't even be your full self. It's messing with your bodies now. Oh man. So, you know, all of us are really going through these diseases. It's a dis-ease, you know, and the human being, like you said, now that we're connected with people like ourselves, like each other, it's a testament to that. You know, there's this shift that is happening because it needs to happen, and people need to be free to really be themselves. And that's the healing.
That's right.
Yeah, I feel like women are just, you know, there's so much stress. Well, it's stress on men too, but speaking from a woman's perspective, you know, we're nurturers by nature, right? We're nurturers, but then it's like this society is like, yeah, you need to be this, and this. Like, yeah, you need to be this ruthless bitch, right? And, you know, have your own stuff and be independent, and you need to have this, and this, boom, boom, boom. And that is stressful. That is so stressful to live up to what society thinks a real woman should be.
Yes.
Girl, I just sighed a sigh of relief hearing you say that. Because if you didn't say that, men would not know that y'all are feeling pressured. We might be misinformed or you know, come to, you know, what's the word? Like, inaccurate conclusions or assumptions. Like, we might think y'all enjoy that. Y'all want that. You know, or, you know, that's all you're interested in, right? Is just you doing your thing, and, you know, that's all you want to do, you know, and you don't even want to be bothered, like, you know, and I'm sure that's why there's men who have not even approached you, Sominique, at times, because they were in their head, you're not even want to be bothered, which is another thing that when we talk about that agenda and that plot about separating men and women, you know, it's like it makes, I could say it just like you just said as a woman, I could say as a man that it, you know, it has us looking around going, a lot of women don't even want to be bothered. Like, it's a bother if you try to approach a woman or talk to a woman or are interested in a woman. And I've even had friends who, you know, because, you know, for me, I like to have that friendship level, you know, before going, you know, any deeper romantically. And, you know, I've had friends who I've said to them, you know, when I felt it was, you know, I was aware and convinced of, or, you know, realized, you know, whatever feelings romantic I might have for someone that's my friend, and tell her and her be like, which to me was daunting. It's like, okay, we've been taught so wrong that I've had friends tell me that they don't want to go from friendship to romance with anybody. And I'm like, and you wonder why we're having problems with relationships? You don't want to be friends with your romantic partner. That's what you just told me. And you don't even realize that's what you're telling me. Yeah, exactly.
That's deep.
It's like, it's like, yes, I know I care about you. I know you're a wonderful person. I know that we get along really great and we vibe. And it goes deeper, because even you could say, I could understand if there's no chemistry, and there's chemistry. And you're saying it's almost like counterintuitive, because we've been taught, we've been conditioned to be a different way than what is actually natural and healthy. So we actually think that what doesn't work is supposed to work. And, you know, and so, you know, they literally were saying like, nah, I got to just go straight for the, but what happens is when you go straight for the, like you were saying, Asiya, then you find out later, and Sominique, you find out later things that you didn't realize in the beginning, because you didn't do the work of getting to know this person first.
That's right. That's right.
So it works against us when we don't get to know each other first, you know? And so we jumping into intimacy, and we're not even doing the intimacy, right? Because, you know, you were talking about cuddling. How many men you know actually want to cuddle, you know? At all, at any point, whether it's, you know, during, you know, physical intimacy or outside of that. It's, you know, some men don't even want to do it while they're in bed, let alone outside of the bed. So it's like, yeah. See, both of y'all was like, yep. I'm like, see, it's hard out here. It's bad. Like, damn. Like my partner, I was holding her hand when we first, right? And she said, oh my gosh, you're holding my hand? My heart almost broke. I said, babe, wait. None of these men ever held your hand? Are you serious? She was like, are you serious? I'm like, wow, damn.
Right, something as simple as that.
As that, you know, and not just like, you know, let me tap you or let me just quickly squeeze. Like, I'm holding your hand. You know, whatever, because, you know, I'm into sensual tantra. And what I learned through those practices is whatever you do, you put your heart into it. You put all your energy into it. So you can you can have such a deep intimacy with someone just holding their hand or just even looking into their eyes.
Yes.
You can feel like they're hugging you with their whole spirit body. It's like you just feeling almost like their arms are around you because you're feeling so much love and affection from them. So, you know, a lot of dudes don't know these things. So, you know, they don't even know. You might want to look at her when you're in bed with her. You know, you might want to hold her, not just hump her. There's things you might want to do that connect, you know, because it's deeper than just wham bam. Like, are you serious? So, you know, it's and that's all right, connected to that whole thing of communication. There's a communication when we express ourselves intimately with each other, and not doing that has led to so many problems and not knowing each other. Because sometimes you could hold somebody's hand and feel something about them just by holding their hand or just by looking in their eyes, right? The eyes are the windows to the soul. If you don't look at each other and we call each other close, you know, what's going on? Why can't I look at you? And some of us don't even know. We need to start with ourselves. Like I was doing mirror practices that a spiritual counselor a year or two ago had me do, where, you know, she was like, I want you to look at yourself in the mirror. That was the hardest thing in the world to do, but I did it. And I started to find that, okay, like you said, Asiya, projectors, our energy goes out. So I had no problem looking at someone else, but when it came to looking at myself, So, you know, but when I started to do that, it expanded my love, you know, because I started to give myself that self-love on a deeper level.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. I'm not going to cut you guys short. You guys can keep going. My battery is getting ready to die, and I'm getting ready to go in here with these kids. It's going to be very loud. So, Houdini, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise, sis. Thank you. Such a pleasure as well.
Right.
I look forward to continual stuff. Yes. Be safe.
Right. Well, thank you. We'll get together again in the future.
Oh,
No doubt.
Sominique, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. See you guys.
All right.
Much love, sis. Peace.
Yeah, Houdini,
yes, sis.
I have definitely enjoyed this this forum that we've, you know, this splenic spontaneous forum. Because, you know, planning is not the move for any of us. We've got to jump right into it when we feel it.
That's it. And I'm so glad you did. You know,
it works.
Wow.
It works.
It's doing it.
It works.
It feels so good that you are aware of that and that you give yourself license to flow with that, and it's encouraging me, and look, it's encouraging Sominique also. That's so empowering, you know, because it's about, like you said, being our true selves, and that's the self, right, versus the not self. So, you know, knowing that we're splenic and rolling with that instead of trying to be something else, oh, that feels so good. It feels so good. There ain't nothing wrong with it. You know, that's how we are. Yes. Yes, me too, sis. I'm elated from jump. Just like, wow. And so I agree with you. Like you said earlier, definitely doing something platform-wise. I'm so down, you know. So, I look forward to how that will play out.
Yeah.
It's definitely time.
Yeah, we still have to, you know, talk behind the scenes about, you know, about some things, but
yes.
Yeah, I do want to respond to the information you sent me, and thank you again for even putting that together for me. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
And it was on point. It was so I'm gonna talk to you behind the scenes about it, but it was so on point. I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to talk to you.
Wonderful, yes.
Man,
I'm excited to hear that. I know, right? I was like, wow, that is so sweet. You're like, you know, I was like, wow, look at this, look at the dirt. Oh, snap, yeah. So it's a beautiful thing, right? Yeah. So I do look forward to that. And, you know, again, thank you for honoring my energy and for
of course.
Really, So I look forward to next time. Thank you. This really has been a real something to brighten my day, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like so grateful to the universe for this and you and yeah. Till next time, I said definitely.
Yes. We'll talk soon. And
all right.
Yeah. Just take care of yourself. Take care of your energy. Get your rest. Just keep yourself up. Because I know it's difficult. So.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful you do, because it really helped me to see. Like I said, it really helped me to see you feeling like, picking up on that and expressing that helped me to go, oh my gosh, this is why I'm like, it's almost like when you're having reactions to something, but you only know partially why.
Yes.
And then someone says, oh, I'm on the outside looking in, this is why. And you're like, oh my God, yeah, so I'm not, no wonder, yeah, oh my gosh, Yeah. So I just feel like that. And so, and because, so you and I could see a level of, oh my gosh, this is, what it is. And when that other person doesn't, because they're looking at it through different eyes and they don't know all these things, it's like, and I found myself having to stop, like I said, I realized I have to stop trying to explain this to you, because it's not even making sense. It's not even helping you to get it. I just need to keep doing more of what I've been doing that's working for me to keep me balanced, because otherwise I'll just get overloaded.
Yes.
Like the other day I had that, like I had this other day. I think when I had reached out to you, or we had reached out to each other, and we were saying like, oh, we haven't forgotten that we have this, we're going to talk again. I had this experience a day or two before that where I had burned out so much that all day I was in the bed, just all day.
Yeah.
And how do you describe that to a manifesting generator who doesn't know, who knows very little about human design and how that works? You get on the basic level, right? It's like, and now she's trying. She's looking up things and, reading stuff to try to understand and stuff. But it was like, oh my God, I can't describe to you this thing that is complex because you don't know it yet. And, all your mind is doing is saying like, no, but it's okay because this is okay, but that. And I'm like, no. It's not anything but this thing. Like, seriously, you try to find other reasons why. No, it's just this energy thing that we keep having. And it's really like, and I thought, last thing I'll say is I thought about that couple we had talked about, what's the name? Kayvon? I thought about Kayvon, and I was like, I don't know how they do it because he's a projector, but I said, this is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, even though, energy types and non-energy types, will have an energetic clash and a frequency clash, I feel that communication is everything. So, with you being a projector with a manifesting generator and even other couples who are in that same situation, if the communication is right and then space is respected, genetic needs are respected, then, that can create, a new type of relationship, because there's absolutely no way that, with every individual being something different, that every partnership can be grouped into operating in a certain type of traditional way. Like, there has to, every relationship has its own uniqueness, which means that if you take all of these different unique relationships and try to attach a set of rules to all of these different relationships, what we see the result of that. We see the divorce. We see the domestic violence. We see the abuse. We see all of it, because it doesn't even, it's not even logical. It makes absolutely no sense. And it's fading out. Like the idea that we can attach these rules to the uniqueness of every relationship is just, I think people are like finally seeing like, oh, I have to really create my own relationship. Like I have to set my own set of rules for this particular connection that I'm in with this person. And that includes friendships as well. It includes business partnerships. It includes anything that deals with you and another individual. You have to create new rules to accommodate the needs of these two or more unique individuals. Yeah. And it's I think it's, you know, it's taking a minute for certain people, but the what we're seeing in the falling apart of so many relationships is like it's forcing people to recognize we can no longer continue the traditions. We can no longer continue that, you know, continue the idea that everybody is monogamous or everybody is even designed to be in a relationship. Because there are people that I can clearly see that you may not be designed to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
And that is a very strong, you're not designed to be in a relationship.
Thank you.
You know?
Exactly.
And it's okay. You know, it's so many people that they are following these standards and they feel like, oh, I need to be in a relationship because I see these couples over here or this person on television, or everybody is saying, when are you going to find you a husband, or when are you going to find you a wife, and when, you know, all of this pressure. And then you get into your 40s, 50s, 60s, and you realize, you know, I've always liked being alone more than I like being in a relationship. And you finally realize towards the end of your life that you spent all of these years trying to fit into this traditional standard that was never really for you. You know, and it's just so much that, you know, I think for me, I've accumulated so much information through dealing with so many individuals, so many couples, just focusing on learning so much about people's individual and unique codes that it's like, wow, what is really going on versus what the outside is saying. It's like, it's such a mismatch.
Yes.
You know, it's like it just doesn't fit. It does not fit with the reality of what people need. And it's just not hard to see that, you know, we're falling apart because of it, because of the lack of understanding about what people need. I just feel like everything is just so redundant. I feel like I'm just repeating myself over and over and over again. But
wow, but that aspect sounded, you know, with people when you talk with them, or just right now, you feel like you're repeating yourself?
I mean, in this conversation with people, it's like it always just circles right back to the same originating point.
Yes.
Oh man. But the redundancy, you know, and repeating yourself, that's when, you know, repetition does sink in. But, you know, it's like people have to hear it over and over and over again. And because the actual physical reality is matching to the disharmony of what we're seeing between people, and even in groups and in families and all of that, it's like it's hard to deny. Like, we're at that point to where you just really cannot deny it anymore. And when it's clear as day like that, it's like that's when you get to that place of, dang, okay, I'm like on the verge of just being stupid. Like I'm blatantly consciously like choosing to be stupid because I see it as clear as day, is right in front of me, but I'm still choosing to try to operate on this frequency that is really just being dragged out because people are just kind of scared to transition over into the new reality that backs up what is necessary for balance and for better health and for empowering mutually beneficial relationships.
Absolutely, sis. You took the words. It was crazy because from earlier I said, oh my God, it's like you taking the words right out of my mouth. I have said this to people that, you know, it's not for everybody. So you gotta know what you're right. And it's so, that's why I say, you know, it's so wonderful to see, you know, and to experience, you know, what you see through human design, and what you've learned and picked up, and how you're able to see these things, because it's very powerful, you know, and helpful beyond measure to be able to, you know, help people see these things, and you know, to know that, to be given that true voice of truth, as opposed to the lies we've been fed for all these years, you know, and be like, look, this is how you're designed. That's, you know, priceless. And you know, yeah. And I remember having that sense of like, yeah, you can see that. You can see where people is like, you know, you're not actually designed to be in a relationship. Like that's terrific. That's such a, you know, beyond description useful tool to be able to tell people that, you know. And I'm so glad and excited about that.
Yes,
because that's yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to I'm gonna let you go. I know I have to, you know, like release the projector. So, you know, I'm gonna let you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you go, because you definitely you've been hijacked today in a good way, very good way. So
yes, you have. Yes,
this energy will take you. It'll take you into the week and beyond.
Yes, that's it. For sure. Thank you, my sis.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, until the beyond.
Yes. We'll talk soon, okay?
Right. Yes, ma'am. Peace.
All right. Peace.
All right.